Hey everybody, what's going on? This is John. Today we're going to talk about I'm taking a viewer question today, and we're going to talk about how to analyze a deal in finding the mayo. And the mayo is not the mayonnaise. The mayo is the maximum allowable offer. So, Valencia writes, thanks Valencia for watching and sending in feedback and letting me answer your questions. You keep sending them, I'll keep answering them. In your videos, you don't explain how to know what to offer on properties that you buy. That's the first part. I'll read the whole thing. And also, after you drive for dollars/deals, how do you locate the owners? I know how to use DCAD to get the owner's name, but I hit a dead end because I don't know the next step in finding the owner's phone number or current address. I would also like to know if you help people to analyze a deal or potential deal. For example, the house on Romine. It would have been helpful had you explained how you would analyze to present an offer to the owner. And finally, how does someone like me become a person who can send you pictures and addresses of potential houses for you to look at? How to get on your buyer's list if you have one too. Great questions, and I'm going to go through and answer all of them. I appreciate it. And the first part is how to know what to offer on properties that you buy. So, the first step in how to analyze, and I might break this up into separate videos, but first we're going to talk about how to analyze, how to find the after repair value, ARV. When everyone says, what is the ARV? That means the after repair value. What that is how much the property would be worth after it's repaired. Pretty obvious on after repair value. Okay, so to find this out, we need to do a couple things, right? We've got 5 criteria to finding the ARV. Okay. First thing is, before you go through this, what you want to do is you want to look at and don't get confused when I say this, but look at Realtor.com, Trulia, Zillow, those, just to get a general idea. To really get the ARV, you need MLS comps. But if you hound your realtor 5 or 10 times a day, he or she's going to get kind of tired of you. So what you want to do is you want to create kind of a filtering system, kind of a funnel, to when you're analyzing the deals, you want to first go through with rough numbers and say, well, if it works with these rough numbers that I'm analyzing myself, then I can ask the realtor to pull me comps to keep the relationships that you're building with your realtor. And realtor is a very important part of the team that you need to build. Okay, so first thing we need to do is get comps. Okay, first we need to look at your, the Realtor.com, Zillow, and Trulia, that kind of thing. So we're trying to find the houses that have sold in that area for that specific time frame. So we want to get 3 to 5 sold comps and 1 to 3 pending, if possible. Okay, right now in Dallas, Fort Worth, super hot market, so it's not too hard to get comps in a particular neighborhood. Okay, so 3 to 5 sold, 1 to 3 pending. We don't care about active, since anybody can put in a list price of whatever the heck they want. We want to know what is pending contracts and what is sold. And the 5 criteria for that is, and this is what you're going to tell your realtor as well. When you ask the realtor, hey, I need you to pull me comps, that's not all you say, right? I need you to pull me comps with these 5 criteria. Okay, so first one and this might be different in your particular neighborhood, but I'm talking about DFW since that's my area. But in Virginia or wherever you may be watching this video, I don't know. You need to understand your marketplace and see how fast the houses are selling, so you can adjust the time frame. But for right now, within 90 days for Dallas-Fort Worth, because it's a fast-moving time right now, and people are just selling left and right. Houses don't stay on the market very long, and so you got to analyze for the past 3 months. Okay. Number 2, a quarter of a mile without crossing a major road. Okay, so really, you want to know the closest proximity to the house, to your subject house. That means what has been sold and what is selling that's really close to your house. Ideally in the same neighborhood, okay? But and a lot of times people will give you comps, so you got to watch yourself, even if you tell your realtor, hey, I need these comps. That's outside, that's crossing a freeway, but we know, one side of the freeway can be nice and one side can be not so nice. So you want to really target as close in proximity as you can. So what we're saying is a quarter mile without crossing a major road or highways. Okay. The same number of beds and baths. Okay. My average bread and butter is 3-bedroom, 2 baths, but I can do a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and 4-bedroom, 2 bath. As close as you can get to your subject property, right? You don't want to have comps of 1 bedroom, 1 bath compared to a 4-bedroom, 3 bath. There's no comparison. So 1 or 2 things off here. The closest you can get, this is not an exact science. It is a science, but not an exact science. So you can play here and there with the numbers, right? Same number of beds and baths. Number 4, similar square footage. Same kind of thing, right? You don't want to say, I want to run a comp on this 900 square foot house compared to this 4,000 square foot house, right? That just, it doesn't work out very well like that. Similar, number 5 is similar year built. Okay, so on the square feet, 10 to 20%, give or take. You can usually get away with that, as close as you can though. Similar year built, plus or minus 10 years. You don't want to compare a 1940s house to a 2017 house. It's just, a lot has happened in time, and so you want to give or take 10 years. So if it's a house built in 2010, you can go from 2000 to 2020, and you'd be okay. And another thing that's not on here that I just thought about, if you saw me pause there for a second, is that the type of sale, right? You can usually tell in a neighborhood if the houses are being wholesaled or being sold to investors, because of the level that they're fixed up, right? So if you have 3 houses or 4 houses that have sold way low, and it's sold to, then it's sold to investors. But if you have a house that's been fixed up really good and sold retail, depending on your exit strategy, do you want to wholesale this house, or do you want to sell retail, right? Those are the kind, if I'm going to wholesale this house, I'm going to say, okay, I need those wholesale comps, right? I need this comps that's been sold to the investors. And you can scroll through the MLS or scroll through Zillow or whatever, and you can see that the pictures that are posted, you can tell if this house was fixed up or not. It's pretty clear, and that's how you tell. Okay, so we're going to walk through these numbers here, and we're going to pretend like we have price and square foot of 3 to 5 sold. Okay, so 5 properties that we found on it. First we looked on Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, whatever, and then we said, okay, they work out for the rough numbers. Then we're going to ask our realtor to give us to give us our comps. Okay, so once we get the comps back, we say, okay, price that they were sold for. So these are the 5 comps, right, that we get back. They might give more, they might get less, but we're going to say 5 comps, right? This first house, the first house sold for $150,000, and it was 1,000 square foot. The second house that's we're using as comps sold for $125,000, and it was 1,100 square foot. The third house sold for $135,000, and it sold for, and it had 1,000 square foot, whatever. Fourth house, $115,000, and it was 1,150. Fifth house was sold for $125,000, and it sold for, and it had 1,250 square feet. Just you know, these are fake numbers, but just so we can run through some math here. So the way you would do that is, the way you do that, you take the price divided by the square feet. 150,000 divided by 1,000 square feet. I bet you everybody knows what that is. $150 per square. 150. Number one is 150 per square foot. 150 bucks per square foot. Second one, 125,000. 125,000 divided by 1,100. 113.64. 113.64. Okay, third one. 135,000 divided by 1,000. 135. Fourth one. 115,000 divided by 1,150. 100 bucks square foot. Okay, and finally our last comp that we got from the realtor, 125,000 divided by 1,250 is 100 bucks. Okay, so we have 5 values price per square foot. We're going to take those 5 and divide by 5. Okay, 150 plus 113.64 plus 135 plus 100 plus 100 gives us 598.64. 598.64. Going to divide that by 5. 119.728. So 119.73. Okay, so we're going to take our house, our subject house. Let's say that our house is $10,023 square feet. I'm just, you know, if I'm just making that number up, but let's say our house is that. So from these comps that we have, we're going to take 10,023 and multiply by our number, our average price per square foot, which is 119.73. Right? So 119.728 times 1023, 122,481. No, 74. So that number right there is the ARV. ARV. Right there. If our subject property was 1,023 square feet, right? Then our ARV, based on the comps we got, pretend like we got those comps, our ARV that we would set would be 122,481. So that's how you get to ARV, step one. Okay, I mean, I know that was a lot, but step one in how you analyze a deal, finding the Mayo, step one is finding the ARV, which is the reason why we're spending the most time here, which is the number one important factor in buying a house for investing purposes. Okay, you've got to get that number right. If that number's right, if that number's not right, everything else is wrong. You can get into trouble. So the first, okay, so I keep saying this in most of my videos, but this is the most important thing, right? The two major things that go wrong in flipping a house. The first thing is getting the ARV wrong, right? So it's paramount. It's the most important thing is getting the ARV right, okay? And how you do that is by comps. The more comps, the better. Sold and pending, okay? Enough of that. The second biggest thing that goes wrong is miscalculating rehab costs. But, you know, I'll do a video about that later. But step one in how to analyze the deal, finding the Mayo, is ARV. Okay.